Today we'll eventually start with the Fool's Tale. It was written in the process of creating the creative tarot with one chapter for each trump card. It's not at all esoteric, but certainly a bit magical, just like a tale should be, I guess. In the story we follow the Fool, card 0, on his hero's journey where he meets all the other trumps and learns their lessons. In the video you can see the process of me drawing the card in Adobe Fresco. Unfortunately, the file with the whole coloring somehow got lost. I can't find it and I can't do anything about it. So let's just start with the tale. Zero. The Fool. Prologue. Once upon a time there was a joyful fool who lived far, far away in the distant land of wonders at the court of the honorable little king. He rose each morning with the sun, and each evening, when it grew dark, he lay down contentedly in his soft bed and slept. Most of the day he spent with his colorful balls. When they whizzed through the air, he admired their beautiful colors, and when he caught them, he delighted in their round shape in his hands. Sometimes he would also put the balls in his large trouser pockets and dance for the king and his court. Then he rejoiced in the smiling faces of the audience and in the bright jingle that the little bells on his clothes made with every movement. On fine days, when the sun shone warmly from the sky, the fool would sometimes sit outside the castle gate in the grass and watch the flowers and the trees as they moved gently in the wind. How beautiful they were! When winter came and the flowers disappeared, he would become a little sad outside. Then he would instead sit by the warm fire in the hall of the honorable little king and listen to the stories the people told each other. Sometimes travelers in strange garments would come into the hall, and sometimes someone would even speak to him and touch his cap, making the little bells jingle. One day, during a long winter, he saw a girl at the end of the bench in the hall. She did not look joyful, and from her eyes water was dripping. "What's the matter with you?" asked the fool. "I can't do it," the girl answered and furrowed her brow. The fool shook his head with a jingle. "What?" he asked. "Well, this problem here, I cannot solve it." The fool looked at the paper that lay on the table before the girl. It was filled with strange signs and lines and patterns. "But why are you so sad then? That looks beautiful," he said. "You don't understand, you're just a fool. This here is important, it's art, it is science, but I am too foolish. It would take a wizard to complete this masterpiece." With these words, the girl jumped up and stormed out of the hall. The fool gazed after her for a long time. When it grew dark, he went to bed, and the next morning he rose and spent the day juggling. The winter passed, and in the spring the flowers returned. The girl remained away. The fool did not even know her name. He had remembered only one word, and sometimes he would murmur it quietly to himself while the balls flew merrily. Wizard. And that was the short prologue to The Fool's Tale. If you want to know how it goes on, in the first chapter the fool will meet the magician, of course, and in the second chapter the nixie. You can subscribe to the channel, of course, if you don't want to miss them. And by the way, I'm not saying anything about the meaning or the design of the cards at this point. All that will be discussed at a later stage and in between in the documentation. But if you want to know more about the traditional meaning of the Fool in the tarot, you can check out the video which I'll link in the description. Gemini gives a very good summary of the Fool there. Oh, and he also did this translation of the tale into English. I'm quite proud of him. Anyway, thank you for listening to this episode, and in the next video we'll start with the documentation eventually, and I'll explain how I got the idea to design a tarot for creativity as my bachelor's thesis.